Hi.
How is everybody today?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
I am just having a fantastic time. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. By the way, you are definitely here for another episode of the Super Serious Science Show.
And I believe today we are doing impactful research. We're going to go over daily news and we're going to give expert commentary and also TikTok videos.
Experts. Yeah, because we are just as smart as it can get.
So, hello, Mr. Rogers. Nice to see you here. Hello, Lindsay. So good to see you. Right as I pushed the button, Enzo came in and said you could start now. We do have Riot here, which is incredibly. This is a rare sighting. This is rare. Where's my? We don't have the fucking rare steak in here.
Oh.
Wow, that's like really upsetting. I was gonna put the rare steak up, but I guess I can't.
Listen, I know that Riot did butt stuff with us, but maybe Riot wants to also be a scientist for a day.
You can come at any time, Riot. Or you know what? Honestly, Riot might be much better on Uninformed because he likes to yell. Especially about like, and he likes to be like, you know, kind of tote the line of like, he's like us. Riot, go watch Uninformed, and then if you want to come on next week, you're more than welcome.
And if you have topics you want to talk about, you can always tell me and I'll add it to
the Oh, we got Mostly Space here too. Hey,
this is like coming. I have to say, listen, I love everyone here in the chat. You guys know this, but I feel like Mostly Space is my recent favorite.
Oh, wow. Okay, Bree, that's a big statement.
You're ranking the chat.
And you know who's been missing?
No, I think it's only listen. Now I don't need to backpedal, but I'm just saying like. Mostly Space hasn't always been around, and I just think he has amazing comments, always very engaged in whatever we're talking about, and usually makes me think a little bit more into something that we're talking about, which is very engaging to my mind, and I appreciate that about someone.
You know who hasn't been here? Fucking Moon Pie. Where'd Moon Pie go? Moon Pie's been like dead or something. It's been months. Moon Pie, where are you?
He's probably busy. Yeah, so we have a mixture of things to talk about today.
Good, you should be blushing.
I didn't mean to do that.
We hope that we make you all feel special because that's what we're trying to do. You're all
everyone else already here already knows how much I love them. I've known them for a long time now.
Also, thank you everybody so much for the compliments. I actually designed the shirt myself. Thank you.
You did. It was excellent design.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you. Nice.
I love the line between like 80s and 90s funky flair.
Yeah, when I was designing it, I was like clip art. Art, 80s.
Into
I could just like change all the colors and then like, you know, make it slightly different and then bam.
It even makes me think of Rugrats for some reason.
Oh, you're right, actually a little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
But the rap version. R-R-R-R-U-U-U-U-G-G-G-G-S-S. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Take me there. I wanna go there.
Okay. All right. Are you guys ready to like jump in?
Yeah, let me do this real quick before you do that.
All right, let's get fucking serious.
Hey, you know, I'm usually not into that song, but for some reason today, I'm feeling it a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
Actually, Kari, can you still have that gay frog video?
What is going on?
Yeah.
You should upload that.
Finally, we get to see it from
Start it over. End. Yeah, start it over. So I got it because it was like, oh my god, aliens, and then it was like, nope, night skydivers.
Okay.
Oh my god, the aliens, skydivers. We're just having a good old time.
They're so ballsy.
I know.
I'm obsessed with this perspective.
We also get a lot of shit for not knowing what night skydivers are. So I think in 2023, we can gladly say we know what it is. Is the person filming thrown out of the plane as well? That's what it looks like. It looks like the person's like has like a GoPro or something attached to them.
Yeah, like a GoPro. Damn. Would you guys do that? Because I wouldn't.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
100%.
I would absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
I feel like my foot would somehow get in between the line of fire. And I don't know if it's actually fire, but I feel like it is. And I feel like I would lose the toe.
No, they're like sparklers.
Sparklers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tomato.
They're just sparklers tied to their feet.
Yep.
All right. If you say so.
I do.
But this is excellent. I want more videos like this, seeing it from that different perspective. Because
you could totally see how on the ground at the beginning, like, oh my God, aliens. And then you just know it's just a bunch of people with sparklers in the sky. And that's a real thing that happens. We're in 2023. There are people in the sky with sparklers on their shoes. Who would have thunk?
I mean, wasn't that in the Jetsons?
Technically, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I imagine that you should at least be certified for that. Like, I know if you are just going skydiving, you go, you do it for the day or whatever. But something like that looks very advanced. So,
you know what? Our chat all of a sudden just got real bullshit smelling.
Real dark.
Smells a little grifty in here.
Shots fired.
Hey, listen. If
I'm wearing champion shirt, okay?
You are wearing champion shirt, yeah.
A UFO at my buddy's house.
Oh shit, I gotta go. Hold on, I'll be right back.
While he's talking about UFOs.
Joe. Okay, yeah, continue.
Then, it's just kind of the thing. Sean Cahill, he's doing what he's doing. That's like a 2-year-old video. I mean, the grift is hard.
If you're not asking money from people, I don't think it's a grift.
But
this is what I tell Kari all the time.
If you're trying to gain notoriety,
no grift here.
That's also
There's
a grift.
no grift here. No one's making money off of UFOs. I'm sorry.
It's not just about money. It's about gaining notoriety and clout from lying. Like
people are totally making money.
Oh, it's okay as long as they don't make money. Oh, okay.
No, they're not.
Are all the speakers at every UFO conference just doing it off of their...
what Steven said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. We'll cover it tonight. Don't... Y'all do what y'all want to do. I don't care.
Does anybody go to UFO conference to be a speaker for free?
I won't confirm nor deny that because I have NDAs to sign, so that I've signed.
Well, I don't, and they do not work for free.
You don't know that, Tony.
Alien Con just happened. Do you think
Alien Con is interesting? And I talked to Kari about this too because, I know they charge if you want an autograph or if you want a picture. And I just think that's crazy because a lot of the schedule is literally just scheduling times for you to wait in line to take a picture with the speaker. That's wild to me.
Actually, I don't know if you remember, Bree, but I got yelled at Alien Con. You said that already?
No. I was going to say I have a video of you walking around and
I got yelled at because I was filming and I happened to pan the camera of where they had all the booths set up where they were doing the pictures with the famous people, and I literally got yelled at by security by filming it, and they were like, no pictures, these pictures cost money. And I was like, oh my God, I'm filming just the area. I wasn't even trying to get that.
Press pass, bitches.
It's I just think that's wild. And, I think that's one of the things that's always put Contact apart is that, you're mingling with them. It's not something we'll never end up, setting up something where you have to pay to get an autograph or, pay to say hello or, but that's because Alien Con really, I think, markets it towards really just, the TV Hollywood side of it. And so they are keeping them as a higher, celebrity stature. But that's their focus, do what you do. We've had lots of fun at Alien Cons.
We've been to Alien Cons. They've been fun.
Usually, more just meeting the people and having our own fun. Not necessarily what they have to offer. You can wait in line. Although that was the first time Jamie and I ever had an experience where we were waiting in line to get a coffee. and someone came up and was like, "Are you Brie and Jamie from that one time?" That was our first experience
and we were like,
ever with
"Oh
that.
my God,
we were like,
are." And then it happened again
cool.
at Contact when we were in line waiting to get our tickets, and someone like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Are you guys Jamie and Brie from that podcast?"
And now no one knows who we are. So
Now
here,
no one knows who we are.
everything's going in circles. That's cool. All right, whatever.
Billy Carson's pay rate is $100,000 a show. That's why he puts on his own now.
How do you know that?
I know. I just made up a number that sounded dramatic.
Don't do that. This conversation needs to cease to exist for multiple reasons. So I'm moving on.
Move on. Hey, Foxies.
I said nothing.
Literally come up to me every single day and they say,
Mike.
but how do you know we're in a simulation? I'll tell you.
You're
Cars?
This is a video that requires audio and visual.
Yes, it does.
And they say, but how do you know we're in a simulation? I'll tell you. Cars and buses. You're telling me that a bus that can seat 2 people and 2 people, have an aisle running down the middle and a stairwell going up the top, fits in the same lane as my tiny car that I can touch the other side of the door if I wanted to? That's just good coding by the simulation. That's how I know. That's all the proof that you need. Cars and buses.
I agree 1,000%. I think about it now, like being like how big the inside of his bus is, and then I get into a car and I'm like, wait a second.
But the aisles are so tiny. But I'm thinking more of like a school bus. A school bus, I mean, it's like a wide booth on both sides.
Yeah, but I think more like regular. Changed my channel name to memorialize my dog. Did your puppy pass away? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
That's awful, Mike.
Sorry.
We're gonna cry.
Oh.
We are sorry.
Birds are alive.
Birds are alive. We know that. Yeah, fact.
That video hurt my brain.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a bad way.
Oh, okay.
Give us
Kari's like, you don't understand physics.
I mean, is she trying to allege that her dinky little car takes up the entire of the freaking lane?
Yes, absolutely. That's
yes and
exactly
no.
what.
I think it's just more the idea. Even if it would have been like I drive big trucks sometimes, and even a big truck only has so much space inside of it. And there's something about when you get on a bus and how much room is inside of those things compared to other vehicles. Like it's just kind of crazy that they all fit in the same kind of spot.
Yes,
when like I'm in my
do.
car and I can sit in the middle of it on both sides and touch window to window, but inside a bus I couldn't do that.
Because a lane is like 8 feet wide. Just over
not in California.
Wide. The average car, like she probably drives a Kia Rio, which is like 4.5 feet wide. So she's like, oh, I can touch the other door. Of course you can. You're poor. But if you have a big vehicle, then
that's fine. She probably also has an Android, just like you, because you're poor too.
You.
Yeah, exactly.
But like my F-150, I can't grab the door handle on the other end.
Maybe you have short arms.
I'm 6'3". I don't have short arms.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. I mean, I understand what she's saying, but I do think that the average lane is pretty wide, like Tony is saying. So, I mean, I think a bus isn't that far away from the lane.
Also, if you were to sit in a bus and put your arms outstretched, there'd only be like another 2 feet on one side to get to the other edge. So when you factor that into like, if you do that in a car, it's really only just a couple of extra feet.
Here's the deal. What we're gonna do?
Ceiling space that gives you the illusion.
Yes.
Let's do an experiment, and we'll find the biggest car that's like the same width as a bus, and then we'll test it out, and we'll put Tony in the middle of it, and he can measure, and then we'll see if it's a simulation or not. Because what it reminds me of is
like a unit of measurement now. It's
I feel like also maybe the bus is much like Baba Yaga's hut, where from the outside it looks small, and then you get inside and it's infinite and never ending.
Sounds like every psychedelic trip I've ever had.
Sounds like bullshit to me. I'm gonna say UFO no.
Yeah, UFO. I'll say UFO maybe.
UFO no.
No, right, give us the next one.
It's a nah for me, dog.
It's a nah for me, dog.
It's a nah for me,
dog. Bro. Absolutely not.
Fuck, this shit's changing different shapes, bro. It's just a circle.
Oh, Lord.
I wish you could see it better than when I looked at it on my phone. It looked very black. Is that
there's
also
a bird
fake bird
flying above it.
I'm gonna.
I agree.
Okay, all right. Dish a balloon rotating in the wind. That's why it's changing shapes.
I think it's a weather balloon tethered.
Dish a balloon.
It's right up there in like the low cloud layer, so that it could just be some research balloon, not your conventional.
Not like a Mylar balloon.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Or it could just be a blimp.
Oh shit! There used to be a dope ass blimp that you could take rides in San Francisco. I don't know if they still have it, but it was like most of it was literally clear. Could you imagine? Like a huge clear.
Isn't that dangerous? The planes and the helicopters fly into it.
Well, maybe that's why they don't have it anymore. No, it's probably just on one side, but they made it into like a thing you could do. You know, you pay all this money to go up in there, and then you're literally like feel like you're walking in the
just
sky.
A Christmas decoration.
I have seen something like that before.
Yeah, me too.
Who's Jamie talking?
In fact, I have the newspaper of it somewhere around here.
Okay,
I'm talking to the fucking ghost in my house, Bree. Why? Mind your business.
So hostile.
Who's Jamie talking to?
I didn't say it rudely.
You did. We got sensitive Sally up here.
You know, they should do a real show called This Is Us and just have us fucking insult each other for an hour.
Quite honestly, it'd be so entertaining. I mean, maybe only to us.
Okay, here's our next one. Hey.
Turn this off. You see that shit? I know I shouldn't turn it off.
Wait.
I know I shouldn't turn this shit off. Oh my god. Ain't no way. Oh.
So then that one like appears and now it's like looks like it's going backwards.
Oh, what happened? Look, they shot him. Look, they got hit. Look, one falling and the light's still there. Something ain't right. I think they sending shit down. Like they just shooting shit down, probably.
I love this guy's energy.
Like dropping things.
It's like they just shooting shit down, bro. I love
that this is like his genuine reaction of like, what the fuck is this? What's going on?
So, has anyone seen that movie? Fuck, what is it fucking called? Bomb the Blocks, I think is what it's called.
No.
Attack the Block.
Huh?
Attack the Block.
I thought it was Bomb the Block.
Is it like a tower block and aliens?
Not a tower block. It's like these aliens come down. Well, one day it looks like all these things come just like shooting down, and then it ended up being that they were basically dropping their aliens off. And then they end up like coming out. So it's like prior to that, they basically did a drop off. Like he was saying, like they're just dropping shit off. Like they drop them down, they like bury themselves or whatever. And then when it's go time, they're just like,
oh, so like War of the Worlds.
Yes. It's a British movie. And it's really cute because it's like with a group of kids, basically. I thought it was a really good movie. And I want to say that, Jamie, do you remember one of the alien cons actually that we went to, and there was that girl that we were friends with who had the costume that's like the black bear, and it had like the blue glowing teeth, and I had that picture with Josh. That's like the aliens or whatever in that one.
Gotcha.
That video. So I was saving this to tell you guys on the show. I actually had a sighting earlier on my way home.
No way.
Like, so like it's raining, right? It's really stormy and raining. And then there's like I see a flash, and then there's like what looks like a star in the cloud.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me that you saw alien faces in the raindrops. I was about to be like, Kari?
I had an Orbcraft sighting or something. It was really weird. Like it flashed, like it pinged, caught my attention, and I'm kind of walking towards it. So I look up. And I like hold my focus on it, and I'm trying to work out, is that a plane? And I'm like, no, that's not like in the direction of any planes. And also like you could see where the storm was illuminated by all the street lights and whatever, and it was just a wall of cloud. And then there's this like tiny orb that's just there kind of changing color slightly, and then it just like fades away. And I had my eyes locked on it for like 10-15 seconds, just like, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
that.
the normal reaction.
And then it disappeared, and I was like, I had the moment of like, whew, like,
it sounds like every single time me and Bree see something, literally. Right. Like everyone's always like, pull out your phone. No, you don't understand. You're
I had
stuck.
music
like,
on
you
and
stare, and you literally don't
music,
stop.
So
you stop breathing, and then you breathe again once it's gone. Like it's a whole fucking experience.
There was like a two-pronged thing. There's the first few seconds where I'm like trying to work out whether that's playing, and then it wasn't moving, and I was like, then there was another few seconds of and then it just like slowly faded away. But like, whenever I have a sighting like that, there's always this like awareness attached to it.
Yes.
So it felt very like hey, because especially with like I was listening to Pucifer, and I was just like thinking about all the crazy shit going on in life, and then it was just like a ping.
It was just stopping in to say, hey, we're here.
Right, and that's what it felt like. And then I had that moment of like afterwards just being like, whoa, I get it. It was cool. So that was my sighting today. Hope everybody.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. It literally sounds so much like the one that
90
Amber
minutes
have.
ago.
So
like, it was honestly like 90 minutes.
That sounds very on track. The one that we saw that was like super conscious, like it almost felt like it came down and like was sniffing us, like, interesting. Okay, bye.
Yeah, so like we can get pretty woo here. We don't get to share a lot of things, I think, with our own personal lives a lot, or at least when it comes to UFOs, but I think we've all had those kind of experiences, and yes, I think we all do believe that there's an awareness behind a lot of them, especially orbs in general. That could lead into a million different possibilities. Like, do I think that's just a drone craft? Absolutely not. I mean, could it be like a consciousness? Yes. I mean, there's just so many possibilities that it literally feels like the whole thing is an entity itself. It's very exciting. It's kind of cool that you saw that on your way to do a show like this.
Right. I had that thought, like, I could tell you guys before the show, or I could just surprise you guys on the show.
Surprise.
So it was strange.
I love a surprise.
Like reliving it now. It definitely felt like after I figured out it wasn't a plane, that was when the moment of connect happened, of like being aware. And then after a few seconds, it just went and just faded away. But like in those few seconds, it was like, hi. Like, yeah. But it was also like, it tried to get my, like the way it pinged, like it just went in the cloud. And I was like, that's why I looked up, like,
like, I'm over here.
Yeah, I don't think it was a plane, because it just like, it literally just went and was there and then just faded away.
That is exactly like Grant Cameron KARI. Grant, like one of the things he's always saying is like, why do UFOs have lights? It's not necessarily to see, or at least that's what we think, but a lot of the times it very well could be just to get our attention.
Communicate, yeah.
I definitely, I mean, I don't want to get too worried about it, but it definitely felt like a connective moment in the second phase of it.
I say you get woo.
It happened very quickly, but it was a very like in my head, like while I'm being aware of it and trying to figure out what it was. As soon as I realized it wasn't a plane, that was when it went hi. And I was like, you know, so I had to like dispel of it. I had to like debunk the debunking for a second.
All right, I gotta get out of here, you guys. I love you. I'll see you guys later. I'll talk
to you.
Later.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
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 I have a video, and it's really short. It's like a news clip from the news. But I haven't heard anything about it, and so I saved it to be like, what the have you guys heard this? Like, what exactly are they saying?
Henry Mitchell, thanks. In 60 seconds, the new draft report on UFOs. The Pentagon's expert warning about a possible mothership coming close to Earth. Stay with us.
So, the Pentagon. Okay. And the new draft of the UFO or the UAPs, the Pentagon is warning of a possible mothership.
The Pentagon's expert warning about a possible mothership coming close to Earth.
Coming close to Earth.
The fact he said that with a straight face is actually more worrying.
This is probably why this lady is like, wait, hold up. What? Like this is our casual life now.
So anybody that couldn't hear that in the
this?
chat, they're saying that the Pentagon is now warning about a possible mothership close to Earth. And okay.
I mean,
and coming up, and then they probably just said it again, and then they're like, and next in Colorado.
And next, Donald Trump said.
Exactly.
But you know, this is kind of the thing where dumb bitch. So this is kind of the thing where it's like we'll play the UFO narrative and we'll slowly crescendo upon it to get people more and more worried about it, where people are like, well, maybe it's a psyop kind of thing and they just want more money. And for the NBC to just be like, the Pentagon's worried about a UFO mothership. That's how different is that than Alex Jones running around going, they're turning the frogs gay?
Because if it is
that's
in
a good question.
The report, if there's a report coming out that says that, that's different than.
Yeah, but I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs.
I didn't need to hear the whole song. I really didn't, but thank you about that. Yeah. So I don't know. I that's literally the only thing that I came across, and I happened to come across it today. So I'm just curious if anyone has heard anything else. Definitely something to keep our eye out for. The whole thing to me is weird, so nonchalant. And
yeah, but I think it plays into the whole conspiracy theory of Project Bluebeam, where they're just like, the next thing that is going to be this false flag alien attack, and they're just going to, I'm like, who's attacking us that we can make it look like aliens, where it's Project Bluebeam?
Well, that's what everyone is afraid of, that this is all Project Bluebeam. Gosh. At this point, I don't know. I don't really care.
Fuck it. I don't care.
I don't. I know. And that Kari and I always have. I don't know when the broadcast was, but it was just uploaded today. And the lady had, I think the lady had seen it the night before, but it doesn't make sense because we've already had the preliminary.
It was like a year or two old.
Oh, Jesus, Lord have mercy. She's watching it from her TV. That's why the audio. Whoever is out here in the back pressing buttons, please go away.
It's not me.
Cease and desist.
Kari.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that the preliminary. Why can't I say this word today? Preliminary report was already released. Unless they're constantly sending out reports. I mean, they should let us know what's happening every 2 weeks. That'd be cool. So what's new? Nothing. Okay, cool. So what's new? Nothing. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
And that's how it's gone for the past 7 years.
Exactly. I have a series of things that we need to explore.
Which is good, because I have an article that we should talk about.
Okay, hold on. Let me show you just like 2 or 3 videos, maybe, that have to do with this.
Actually, control squirrels by using your hand in a wave motion. And you could see...
This 100% works. My wife and I just went to the park, and she tried this, and this happened.
Her face.
I am definitely trying that next time I'm in the park.
No, me too.
Oh, yeah.
I think I have another one. I should have 1 or 2.
It controls squirrels by using your hand in a wave motion.
Are we controlling it,
you could
or
see
is this
that the squirrel comes towards me.
So I tried this at the park earlier, and it actually worked, and I looked pretty crazy.
I can't believe this works. What the hell?
Okay, just kidding. Don't bite me.
Yeah, like I think they have rabies. But you guys can't tell me that's not weird.
It's weird, but squirrels are dumb rodents.
Squirrel?
So, like, what they're doing is they're mesmerizing the squirrel in the same way you would do if you are playing a flute for a cobra. So it's the motion that it's seeing and it's focusing on. So the squirrel is focusing on this kind of motion, and it's just like, well, I have to go near that. I don't know why it works. It works with a lot of different animals. Like if you spin a shark on its back, it sleeps. Nobody knows why.
If you say that again. If you what?
If you spin a shark on its back, it falls asleep. You hold its nose, like tiger sharks. There's hundreds of videos of people putting their hand on the nose of a tiger shark, and they just turn, and the shark turns with it and rolls back on its back, and they pretty much get into like a comatose state.
But whoever decided this, though, that's why I'm like, are we controlling it, or is this maybe this is a new type of communication? Squirrel talk. I'm gonna get a squirrel.
Jazz coming in with some chicken knowledge there.
Yep. There's like there's all these hacks to like confuse animals.
Thank you so much, Mostly Spicy. Coming in hot.
I mean, it's possible that like there's some guy sat out in a car in the parking lot of my apartment building smoking meth. Doesn't mean it's happening, but I could say it could possibly be happening.
So I think this is interesting that the AARO is saying that it's possible. Of course it's possible.
Nothing is impossible.
So they literally, great example of the amazing media, taking that could be possible. Of course, anything could be possible, but then reporting it on the nightly news and kind of framing it in a way where it looks like, or at least you get the idea that there could possibly be evidence for that. But he was just saying, oh, it's possible. Why waste our time?
This is what worries me about it, is average Americans that don't have an interest in the subject, they'll see something like that, and it's predisposing them to the idea that there is a threat out there, that there's something, there's like an other. And I don't know if that's the right way to be handling it, to be honest. Like, why are we preparing people for hostility when I don't think that they would be hostile?
They've been preparing us for hostility since day one. I mean, every single time there's a movie about ETs, extraterrestrials, that's all it is. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good not to assume that they're all good. I mean, we're obviously not going to be like Stephen Gray around here that's like, there's no threat. I mean, I will say, though, that since they've been here from the beginning of time, and so far there hasn't been anything, that to me is at least proof of, good intentions. However, I think it is smart to leave the possibility open so we don't,
I mean, how
turn the other way and then get shot.
I think it's entirely incumbent upon us denuclearizing the planet. I think that's going to be the key to whether they perceive us as being peaceful and having peaceful intentions. It's not so much about them. I think they're like, if they've reached a point where they can travel the stars, I'm pretty sure they're fairly altruistic.
Oh yeah, we would have been over a long time ago. If it was
humans in general are not. We blow each other up. We hate each other.
Oh, so, yeah, I was going to say, we're not cool. Like, we're not.
We would be an existential threat to as explorers. We would just turn up and it will be Christopher Columbus all over again, but on planets.
But I do and don't agree with that. So one of the things I agree with, like what I agree with that is any culture who has a encounter with a culture that is vastly more technologically superior is at a disadvantage. And historically, for us, is likely to not exist anymore. I mean, that's just human nature, right? We kind of impart human nature on aliens. Like, are they going to be violent? Are they going to be not violent? A lot of people seem to say just because they've traveled the stars, it means that they are not violent. That's not entirely true.
Well, it depends how if it's like a physical craft where there's like a mechanism and a hierarchy, then yeah, I think that there's a higher chance of them being hostile. But if it's like they're flitting around the galaxy in orb craft, I don't think they're concerned so much with going around being the aggressor. But they would probably be concerned with like our kind of very destructive weaponry being deployed elsewhere in the solar system or the galaxy.
So this is where I try to differentiate like humanism between how any other species might act. People are not good at interacting with other people as far as from different cultures and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
What if a species evolved on a planet where they all had a singular ideology? They didn't have the issues that we have. And they're like a warrior culture. And this is kind of like the Predator thing where like they all spread out and did whatever they did, right?
Right.
Who's to say that a culture like that doesn't exist somewhere out there?
I think it probably does, but that's very similar to how we exist. And who's to say that they're not also being observed by these similarly worried and concerned like species?
Oh yeah, it reminds me of the person that claimed to be at one of the sacred sites in I think it was Peru. I think it was what is that site where there's the H's?
Göbekli Tepe?
No, it's not as old as Göbekli Tepe.
Wait.
I can't remember the name, but there's like H blocks. Anyway,
I've been to Göbekli Tepe. So
wait, was it there or was it?
No, it's the other one.
Or was it? Oh well. Anyway, this person had claimed to go through like one of those natural sacred site, a portal there, and that I'm sure you guys have heard the story that he went through. He found himself in a white hallway, and someone was like, "What are you doing here?" And then they had explained to them that they accidentally created our Pumapunku. I think
it's in Peru.
Isn't Pumapunku more it has all the stones, but they carved into they fit into themselves.
Those are the H shapes.
Those are the H blocks?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that whoever was talking to him that was like, you shouldn't be here, was like, oh, we accidentally created your universe in basically like a science experiment, and you know, it was like one of the situations where it just kept going back and back and back. Like, we don't know who created us. We don't know who created them. Like, you know, like everyone's just trying to create their own H block in San Quentin. Pumapupu. Or was it in Lake Titicaca?
Which is also in Peru.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory, and I know it sounds outrageous, but at the same time, I could understand that. It could be different levels of intelligence, but it could also be that no one knows who created who. Everyone's looking for their own creator, and possibly we're all at, different levels of being advanced, and I think it's all possible.
Well, and there's the reconciliation between what we have learned about ancient civilizations, especially since that article came out, that scientific paper came out, where they were building obsidian axes 1.2 million years ago. Like we need to accept that our history is not what we think our history is. And until we can do that, until academia can stop being so full of itself to where they're like, I know everything because I read all the books and I paid 200 grand for a degree that doesn't matter, because they can't open their minds. These people do not want to accept new information, new stuff that we have discovered. There's fossilized remains of people in South America from 14,000 years ago where they shouldn't be there.
Those are the stone circles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be there. They absolutely should not be there. And the reason they shouldn't be there is because there were cave bears at the land bridge between what is now Russia and Alaska, so nobody could migrate down into South America. But we have remains. So we need to revamp our historical understanding of humans on this planet, bar none.
I think there's a lot that we don't know.
It would be almost impossible.
This is where all the speculation comes in, and all the fighting from one side to the others, because there's just so much that we don't know. We get a version of history, whatever version of the story of history that has survived to now, that's what we get. Who knows if that's even... I mean, a lot of it's parable, you know? Like, how you have to kind of extrapolate some kind of factual record from it, and it can be very hard sometimes because it doesn't make sense, or like things don't add up, and then you have these conflicting things, and you don't actually know what the true historical timeline is.
Well, I can guarantee you a lot of that information is hidden in the Vatican's library.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a bunch of conspiracy theorists in this sentence. We're absolutely. I mean, come on now.
Why don't they allow anybody to go down? Why don't they archive it? Why don't they put it on the internet? This is like the translations from everything that they've found.
Because it's contradictory.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's really sad. It is very sad. I just don't see it as a problem that couldn't be fixed. I mean, unless there's just more and more people that want to be, a forbidden archaeologist. Unless there's more people that are doing that, and unless we can come up with more scientific data to support those claims, but they will always be against academia. Always. I mean, look at poor Graham Hancock out here. Like, I mean, it's on a constant everyday basis that they are trying to defile this man because what he's saying is different from what they have believed to be the final say in history. And it's like, how could we not leave room for error? We all know that we make mistakes. Like, that's why it's literally a saying. I'm sorry, I'm human. So I just don't see why we don't leave room for that.
Well, I actually feel really bad for Graham Hancock, because if you look at what's the site that I can't say in Turkey?
Göbekli Tepe.
That one. That's why they're here.
Oh, yeah.
That is what, 10,000, 12,000 years old?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to believe that hunter-gatherers just decided to build the temple for no reason. Just built a temple in the middle of nowhere and put all these warnings and all the things that they did. And then the mainstream archaeology attacks him as being racist and everything else. Like, they were like, you're racist, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's psychotic.
Yes, sir.
The current scientific beliefs are, we know these because somebody told us this. And we will not deviate because this is how we got our degrees.
Right, which we understand also, at least I totally get it. That's why I understand how complicating it is, because you can imagine if you went to school for so long, if you paid so much money, if you've become a professor, this is your entire life, this is all you know. I mean, how do you
I think the problem they have is, yes, they're closed-minded, but it's undoing the sense of trust in the institution. Like people like Graham Hancock and these other kind of alternative archaeology speakers and writers. It undoes this sense of like authority that they've derived for themselves over the past 150 years, which actually stems back to a lot of like the British museum pilfering Egypt and all of that. That mindset of, we're the ones that are going to tell the history. So like undoing that authority by having people come in with evidence that kind of points towards a different hypothesis, that I think that's truly what they don't like. It's not that they're unable to accept it, it's because they're not the ones that get to
make the call.
Right. It's stripping away any trust people have in them. And I think that's the problem. Maybe there's a way forward where if they would just accept the things, or at least be willing to like be open to it, it would definitely fix that problem.
Well, the problem is trying to get these people to be open because they believe that they are right no matter what. It's like when I remember back, and I'm old, I'll admit it. Yes. I remember back watching dinosaur stuff, and like dinosaurs were depicted as these lumbering lizards moving around. And then Jurassic Park came out, and they were like, well, they have more genetic, resemblance to birds than they do lizards. And everybody freaked out.
That just switches it all up for us. I mean, even that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard for me to understand. Like, wait, huh?
And even today, we're finding T-Rex skeletons, like T-Rex remains that have feather imprints, like in the mud where the bones are.
Right.
So that's is it rewriting history or is it correcting history?
I think it's adding to the understanding. Like it's like trying to draw a picture without all the information. As you get more information, your picture of it becomes more accurate. Doesn't necessarily mean you were wrong before. You just didn't have enough information, so you can just continually amend it and make it more accurate.
Yeah.
Which is what I wish we could do, is think of it as more like a living history where it can be, changed and added and moved around. But that, I get it. That's hard to put in books. That's hard to teach.
You can't earn money off that if it becomes out of date really quickly.
Well, I mean, you can absolutely earn money if you rewrite
always the grift
over
for you.
And over again.
Kari's a fucking grift police, I tell you.
So I like to use dinosaurs as the standard for this because predatory dinosaurs were almost exclusively related to birds. The herbivores, they didn't live. Sorry, sucks to be you, but they didn't live. But the fact that 65 million years ago, a Tyrannosaurus Rex had feathers, and today a lot of people have peacocks, or not peacocks. What's a parakeet?
Right.
In their houses and stuff. Those are dinosaurs. Those are
awesome.
The living relatives of animals from 65 million years ago. Now, there's also crazy people who keep alligators and snakes.
I love alligators so much. I wish I had one.
But yeah,
they're my favorite ever. I don't know why. Since I was a little girl, I was just obsessed with alligators.
I've seen enough alligators for a lifetime.
I've seen them in person. I saw
I lived in
alligator.
Florida.
I saw one wild alligator, and I was like, "Nope."
I was like,
I have
yes.
a story time, mini story time. It was the aftermath of Hurricane Delta in 2020, and we had to go. We'd left loads of cameras out in basically in the bayou, along roads and stuff, but it was all flooded. But it was only flooded like a foot, so we're driving real slow. Well, I'm not in the car. I'm observing through all the camera equipment. My boss goes and walks out in front of the vehicle as the guy's driving, inching his way forward. We had 8 miles of flooded roads to go through, and then I remember him just running back and being like, I looked around and there was 8 pairs of eyes looking at me, and then I watched it back, and you just see you start spotting so many alligators in the road, and I was like, I don't want to ever see alligators again in my life. It's awful. So
guess you've never been to Alligator Alley.
Tony, I think it's about that time.
Hit me.
What?
Da da
Yes!
da 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 da. You want to go first?
All the time you people have, and you couldn't create something better than that.
No,
I don't have any time.
You're
Tony.
liar.
You literally just watched it before this show. What do you think?
I have 15 minutes left to watch of this episode.
You never even finished it?
I didn't finish it. I got home. I didn't know it was an hour long. I got home. I took the dog out. But oh my God, I love this season of Picard. It is so good.
I'm amazed. Having finished episode 4, I sat there afterwards. I'm actually amazed that it's still gripping me as much as the first episode did. I haven't had that with Star Trek in 6 years. I just gave up.
It keeps getting better.
It does, because you're getting more and more nuance to the characters, but it's still fitting with how Next Gen was written and characterized.
Yes. And spoiler alert, if any of you watching it, Captain Shaw, I knew he was present at Wolf 359.
Right.
I knew it because he hates
the Borg.
7 of 9 and dead names her and fucking hates Borg and everything else. And I was like, this dude, I think it was the first episode where he was like, you and your Borg friends or something like that. And I was like, oh, he was at Wolf 359. And yeah, you know
what I liked about that scene? When he was telling his story in 10 Forward, I was just listening on headphones, and the way that they mixed the audio in, and you could hear his memory. Then it cuts to Picard, and you hear his memory of "I am the cutest of Borg."
Yes,
and I was like, "This is just top notch." Oh my God! I was continually amazed by how the quality. I'm glad they spent that extra year in post production to really just. There's no fluff. There's no we're gonna have a whole episode about an emotional beat. It's just Crisis, Star Trek, what we want.
And as far as the whole swearing goes and everything else, that's cool, whatever. Don't give a shit. And a lot of people are smash me and fuck you. So when
I liked it when Picard swore when he's telling the story.
Fuck.
Yeah, he goes 10 grueling fucking hours, and I'm like, excellent. It felt earned. That's the swearing in the other 2 seasons. It never felt earned, and it felt out of place. But this, it's it's an intense, like, we're about to die, and it earns it through the scene. And I'm like, good. Jonathan Frakes is now my favorite Star Trek director.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just so
one
good.
of the things about this, and I know a lot of people have, had an issue with this season, with it like placating too much the fans and being like, oh, they're playing to the fans too much. No, this is the best fucking season of Star Trek that I have seen.
This is the best season of Star Trek since 1994.
Yeah.
Question.
It's like,
go ahead.
Is Picard something that I could watch without having any prior Star Trek knowledge?
I think you could probably dig into season 3 and have a good time. There's a lot. I
tried to watch it once. I tried to go back to the very beginning and like watch the old Star Trek.
Don't do that.
Don't watch seasons 1 or 2.
I could not hang on. I was like,
it's funny because with Next Gen, season 3 is where it found itself. So it's funny that Picard's repeating the same thing. I hope like this week made me really want a Star Trek Titan show with Captain Shaw, First Officer 7, LaForge. Like I bet they're going to bring back all of these new generation cast members on a show.
They've been talking about that.
And it would just be like Next Gen. It would be like, they've gone through all of the crap, they've experimented, and they realized what formula works, and it's the 90s Trek formula. So they're just going to do that. But they've started injecting the little emotional beats from the new Trek, but they're doing it in such a good way where I feel like you grow, your understanding of the characters grows with how they're dealing with stuff, which is really nice to be able to dive back into those characters.
As you know, Star Trek Discovery has, thank God, been canceled.
Yeah.
And is on its last season.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I hate Discovery is because it's fucking stupid. No person in the history of Star Trek would be a captain if they started a war, killed everybody that they know, done all the things that Burnham has done, and just been like, oh, you're captain of a starship because you're incredibly incompetent.
Mostly
That's
space.
Exactly what we want.
So this new season of Picard, it plays like one long 10-hour Next Generation movie that it's full of action and story. There's no fluff. It's just relentless plot of awesomeness. If you like crisis episodes of Star Trek or like teamwork ones, basically where they have to solve problem or like some philosophical problem or ethical problem, they've gone back to that. They've gone back to this it's an overarching story, but the way that each episode is dealing with it is very much a self-contained, that here's the problem of the episode, here's how we're going to deal with it, here's a little parable about teamwork, plot, CGI awesomeness. You're going to love the last 15 minutes of that episode.
I can't wait to watch it. Like, I loved when Picard was talking to Jack about him and him and the other Jack Crusher navigating the shuttle.
Right.
And
you hear about that story in Next
I was
Gen,
like, that's the plot thing. That's how they're going to get out of their current issue. And then Shaw shows up. And I was like,
I thought it was the Changeling for a second because the Changeling had gone missing, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. Because the last time you see Shaw, he's like sat in his quarters and he's like, whatever. And then he turns up and he's really unhinged. And I was like, is he like gonna kill Picard? Because they're after Jack, right? So why wouldn't the Changeling go for Jack? What's going on with your thing?
I don't know. Hold on.
What is it?
I'm back.
There you go. So, and then he starts telling the story and all the sound effects came in. I'm like, oh no, that really is him.
Yeah, but that was so fucking good.
Played so well.
Played extremely well.
Let's stop gushing over it. Recommend it to everybody. Go watch it. We'll be talking about every 2 weeks on this show, so every 2 episodes.
Yep. I think we might have to start talking about Star Wars.
I don't
because I think there's only 9 episodes in this season.
Do I have to watch it to talk about it?
Have you seen The Mandalorian season 3?
I've seen 2 episodes of season 1. I don't care.
Oh no! You have to hold on. You have to hold on. Kari, listen. I think
I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt. But come on.
I'm a Star Trek fan. I grew up a Trekkie, but you can fucking watch The Mandalorian.
I did not like Star Wars.
I'm good.
Okay, listen.
There's 6 movies for me, plus Rogue One. 7 movies.
No, there's
Rogue One was
3 movies.
Just hear me out.
In one show.
The Mandalorian actually took me maybe at least 3 episodes, I think, before I was like hooked. So you you just have to sit through it. And then before you know it, you'll be like,
Spaghetti Western.
Dun dun dun.
It's just not
dun,
like...
dun, dun, dun. Yeah, you did already miss the Super Saiyan. Listen, this is science and science fiction, okay? Science and science fiction.
This is our little mine and Tony's little compromise for now.
Yeah.
We talk for 10-15 minutes every couple of weeks about sci-fi.
Science and science fiction.
We don't have the time to do our own show right now.
Hey, speaking of the Jack Crusher story about using thrusters to navigate, here's a story about the International Space Station firing its thrusters to avoid a collision with a satellite.
Wait, hold on, huh? What?
So at approximately 7:42, thrusters on the Progress 83 resupply vessel, currently docked to the ISS, fired for a little more than 6 minutes to raise the orbit so they didn't collide with a satellite out in
oh shit
in low Earth orbit.
Mm-hmm.
That was
isn't there like segue. FAA for space? So like, shouldn't someone always be on that?
Nope.
Because I mean, if we have as much space junk as they say, plus 1 billion satellites,
right?
Plus the space station, plus possible, motherships.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget the Dark Knight satellite.
Plus the Dark Knight. I mean, has anyone got a new photo of that yet, or what?
That was some mylar foil. It wasn't a satellite.
It was a blanket. Don't worry about it.
Don't hit me with that Roswell. It was tinfoil bullshit.
I've watched enough space launches. It's just some material.
Watched enough space.
You're covered in tinfoil, man.
It has a different shape every time it's seen. And there's the one.
Yeah, because it's rotating foil in space, Tony.
I know.
Yeah, I guess
I get that. So I got one for us.
Could it just have been another object of space junk? Although it did look like a straight up black vacuum.
Wow.
The shape of it looked like a giant black vacuum.
So good news, everybody.
Good news, everyone.
A newfound asteroid may strike Earth in 2046.
Oh, but I've got poker that day.
Oh, no. So this preliminary estimate
I've seen this article, this kind of article, about 50 times in the past 20 years.
Wait, what is it called? I just remember the one called Apophis, and that one already came.
No, Apophis. This is not Apophis.
Okay, what's this?
This is a new one. Yay!
1 in 600 chance of colliding with us.
Yeah, Apophis, I think, is 1 in 5,000. So this is
shit.
40,000. 1 in 40,000.
40,000.
So how big is this one? 50 meters. That wouldn't do much.
No,
depends
but
if it exploded in the upper atmosphere
state.
or what. Yeah.
It'll fuck up a little place. But 1 in 4. What is it? 600?
1 in 600.
1 in 600. I mean,
so it's exactly. So it's got a chance.
It's got a chance.
Saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
That's my favorite. Listen, I have to say, I feel like Earth is pretty lucky.
Weirdly,
I mean, we're
lucky.
just out here free falling and shit. We are weirdly lucky. Am I jinxing us? I don't know. I'll knock on wood.
Whenever I think about how lucky we are to live on a pretty cool planet, like that, somehow nurtures us to this point. I think about the whole thing about the moon being exactly far enough away to create a perfect eclipse, and I'm like, well, there you go.
In a tidal lock, all that shit is weird. Okay,
it is a little weird, right?
It's all weird.
I got another article to share.
I love space news.
So, alien detecting AI finds 8 suspicious signals.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, they've been using AI to, what was it? They took in 20,515 signals of interest, and after going through them all, the AI and the team were able to narrow it down to 8 weird techno signatures that they're getting from, the white noise of the cosmos, which I think is very, very cool. So, like, we're starting to understand what we're looking for when we look out. We're looking at all this data coming in and being able to whittle it down to the right thing. We're just slowly dropping people off today. The CIA are onto us.
What does it say under the tick tick boom? Those are some hot words right there. Here we go. Probable.
He says
rare
it could
case
be
of radio interference. See, they always say some shit like that.
Well, they got to cover their ass, right?
Okay, whatever happened with the WoW signal?
That was like forever ago.
I know, but whatever happened? They were like, it was nothing. But like, do we really believe that?
It was one of. It was. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what happened with it. I fully endorse this message, Enzo. We do need more Art Bell. There was a thing recently where someone was like using AI to spoof Art Bell and make it was like Art Bell hosting his radio show but talking about being on the other side, and it was fantastic.
That's
creepy,
really cool.
Very, very creepy, but very cool. It was like, wow, it was cool.
I also am
what about the Who signal?
The Who. I am also leaning towards the possibility that if there were extraterrestrials trying to engage with us, that they may not use radio signals, and maybe we're just looking at it from a human perspective, Well,
we can only look at it from our current level of understanding. So, like, using technology to be able to understand 20,000 signals and only getting 8 out of it. I mean, that's not a huge jump, but like that's as much as we can do with the technology that we have publicly. So I do wonder what classified technologies are able to pick up. Because if that's just using like a big dish and an AI algorithm thing, I sounded so serious and scientific then. But yeah, imagine what they could do with some big dish satellite that's put out on a Lagrange point pointing at like interstellar space. What kind of signals is that going to get without the interference of our own magnetic field and all of our signals and all of, what can you get if you put a receiver out in the quiet point in the Lagrange point, whether it's, I think that would be very, very cool. Hey, Campbell.
Yeah, holy hell. And I almost lost my train of thought. Oh, I think that we're all just hoping for this moment, like in the movie Contact, And I just I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like that for some reason. But, I'd like to learn more. I'm very curious if the more objects we put in space, if that also convolutes any type of radio signal.
Right.
Makes it harder to decipher through things, because I know that we did talk about how because of more satellites that it's harder for astronomers now to watch things in space and to try to zero down on newer objects, and even just your mediocre astronomer, the one at home with like a really sick a really sick telescope rig. It's making it more difficult for people, but yet we keep sending stuff out there. So
that story about ISS having to lift its orbit is a perfect example of it being overly cluttered in low Earth orbit.
Yeah, and that's worrisome. Right. But Elon will keep just like throwing them up there, like. That's a bit alarming.
I think he uses a higher orbit.
And I'm so into the I have to look into it deeper. I only know this because I talked to him, but Mitch Randall, who's on the Galileo board, is going to get some funding, or at least try to get some funding for these little radar detectors. And it could be something that you literally can purchase and throw up on the top of your roof that would look for these types of signals and radar that could potentially be connected with any type of like UAP or whatever. And so it's like, bringing the civilians a part of the Galileo project, technically. I mean, just collecting more data, but I think that would be awesome. I'm so into that. We always talk about there being a portal above my parents' house, so I think that we need one up there.
See, I worry about the Galileo project.
But I'm more into the radar than I am in the radio signals.
I think I'm all for the Galileo project being a thing, because you need more outfits like that. But I do worry that it's going to go the same way as Blue Book, where the Galileo project's data that they're getting is just the Snickle Fritz data, and all the actual classified, everything that's really good will go to some other office and be classified, maybe AARO or.
I hope not, because the entire one of their cornerstones, their mission was to be completely separate from anything government, so that it wouldn't cloud the water, so that things weren't capped off, so it wasn't shipped off to someone and never comes back. That was, back before they even announced, and they were just having a meeting for people. I might have, never mind. That was one of the that was one of the things that they talked about was that was the main focus was keeping it away from government hands and being completely separate, that it would and of course, how can you control that? Of course they could just say that and that not happen, but I do actually believe currently I do think that they have really good intentions in doing that. And it seems like it's in the hands of the people,
Yeah, but the problem, and we saw this, was that Travis Taylor was part of the UAP task force, and even Brandon Fugel didn't know about that while Travis Taylor was at Skinwalker Ranch the entire time. He didn't know about it until it came out publicly, till somebody leaked that he was the scientist for the UAP task force. So how do we remove or differentiate these people from what they're doing in their public life from what they're doing behind the scenes? And then, do we trust these people?
And that's really hard. You could have people that do, I think I walk a really good line. There are people that could, do that. But yeah, it is hard because you're like, well, what are the intentions? What are the root intentions?
Right. Well, this comes back to that same issue of there being a trust. This is supposed to be some kind of academic outfit, right? Out of Harvard. So that there's a trust thing there where I feel like a lot of people see them as being establishment, so they don't trust it, which again is eroding that trust in institutions. So it's a pickle for sure.
I did not know that Elizondo was in Galileo Project. Is that confirmed?
Pretty sure that's confirmed. I think he was a consultant, but yeah, there are government people floating around it.
I'm sure there could be consultants, because I would imagine that they would need to know, okay, what do you guys have?
Right.
But I think it's more like having the cutoff of them not giving information. And that was supposed to be the route, because they were very aware that, let's say something happens, like something in the water, and they happen to tell the government, and before they could even gather the funding to go and look, it's gone. So I think that was, You know, it's just hard for me. I know that that's what they wanted. Of course, things don't always pan out like that, but I'm hoping that because the root of the program, or I guess, you know, the project is not completely in the hands of the government, that it will stay more of the people's work.
Right.
And that being said, I would like to see these people come on to shows like ours where we're willing to ask questions that are not cherry picked, are not you can and cannot ask this. You like if
we have that all this. We always have this conversation, though. That's one of the reasons why we're kind of in the fringe side of a lot of other shows and things like that, is because we aren't going to not ask those questions, and it is very hard, because that's the only reason why we would want them on, is to ask them the hard questions, not the basic questions that you can find literally on their website, and that keeps people away, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean it's very frustrating when you see these podcasts and stuff with people and they ask, like you just said, the same questions that are on their websites, and they just they ask the same stuff over and over again, and people are like, oh my god, he just said this. Well, nobody's asking anybody hard questions. It's this very softball fielding in the UFO community right now. And if you do ask hard questions, if you do challenge a narrative, then you're seen as like this pariah, this
blacklisted
evil person.
Pseudo debunker.
Yeah, you're a debunker. You're immediately the worst person that there is. And why?
That's definitely not my intention. My intention is just truth.
That's all we want.
That's why we don't get to interview a lot of these people, is because we don't play that game, this access game of, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. We'll propagate a narrative at a certain rate and go along. And it's all.
And unfortunately, that is just it. That's just it, though. That's why we don't
play a game. I'm not here to play some access game. I don't care. I just want an answer to my question. I'm not there to play and turn any narratives.
And that's why we get to stay where you're at, because you don't, so it's either compromise your soul or not. But I don't have a reason to interview you if you can't answer the questions that I have for you. So
well, it's like Enzo just said, Green Straight asking Corbell questions, and the moderator saying you can only ask one question. That's it. I'm sorry. So what is the worth of a press pass if you can't ask follow-up questions? Like, why is the UFO community? This is what pisses me off about the UFO community. Because the UFO community is so enshrined in wanting clarity and wanting everything to be up front. But if you keep asking follow-up questions, suddenly you're the bad guy. I mean,
right.
First of all, a majority of this happens in the United States, which has something called the First Amendment, which is, you have freedom of press. Press can ask there's no such thing as, you can only ask one question when you're the press. You can't ask follow-up questions. We have to secure the narrative. That doesn't exist. That is not how modern society works. If you're
in a captive bubble, right?
Oh yeah, because that's exactly what it is.
It's not like you can bubble. Find the only other way to do this is approach them in like outside of the conference scene, and quite often they won't want to deal with you because it's that oh no, they're going to ask hard questions. Oh no, they reported on something that I don't like, and like. People are well within their rights to make decisions on what reporters they deal with, but when it's just this ardent aversion to any kind of hard questions or like challenging or like asking ethical questions or stuff. Like that's what annoys me. Is that you have, and that's the access game. You're only allowed to ask the questions that they're comfortable answering, which is just that's no way to do journalism. I'm sorry, that's just not.
So I will leave, and
that's PR. That's not journalism.
I have this conversation with you guys all the time because I'm in the middle, and it's really I understand the frustration and it sucks, and I think what it comes down to is a lot of these people just don't want to be uncomfortable. They want to be seen only in the light that they want, and unfortunately, I think in the position that they're at, they need to kind of get over that. I think if you want to be in this scene and being a leading researcher or involved in things like that, then I think you need to swallow your pride. And if you are as true as you say you are, if you really do have those pure intentions, then you would welcome that. And so it's hard for me to see people that, you know, I respect and whatnot, and then you see the other side, and then you question that because you're like, it feels almost like you're watching a celebrity be questioned on something, and before they get on stage with Ellen DeGeneres, she has a list of questions you know she's going to ask you because you and your publicist have pre-approved those questions. Right. And that makes sense maybe in a celebrity aspect, but I feel like if you're a researcher that is out here telling people that you're here to help, telling people that you're here to further the topic, that should be out of possibility. That shouldn't even be something that we accept. And currently we're not there.
Yeah, and this is the biggest problem with the UFO community. Push aside all the internet trolls and everybody else who will vehemently attack you if you question one of these chosen few's narrative. Those people whether or not they consciously employ these people to let them be trolls and to strike people down if they ask a question about, I mean, we just had this new revelation, 4 pictures from...
I said this was off. We can't...
From the drone, right? But everything should welcome questions. Everything should welcome this like scientific viewpoint of it. That is what UFOs are supposed to be. We're supposed to take a scientific, approach to this. But it has got to the point to where people will say the dumbest shit if you question, you don't like what this is clearly a UFO. This is a UFO. This is a UFO. Like, it's clearly everything that we believe it should be. When did it become a religious cult? And why?
Because there's a lot of belief. I mean...
You want to know the answer to that question?
I do.
Okay, George Van Tassel, 1953. That's when it became a religion.
So
leave George alone.
What we need to do is
leave George alone.
Leave Brittany alone. We need to step back and we need to reevaluate how we look at this footage, how we look at this information, and take it from a subjective viewpoint and not from a religious viewpoint where the person who released it automatically means it's valid.
And that goes both ways. I also think that we shouldn't... I don't think this will necessarily be agreed by with the two of you, but I also think that we should not be attacking the person that posted the video. We should just be looking at the video itself, because we're also contributing to it being about a person and what they're doing rather than the topic and the evidence of what we're looking at. And that's something I know that irritates a lot of you guys, is like, you know, like we're making celebrities out of someone that's just like looking at a topic. But we're also contributing to that if we are taking it more about who's saying it, who's bringing it, rather than what the actual footage, the information, whatever it is that we're looking at.
Okay, can I counter that?
I already know your counter.
Well, it's honestly just so if someone's trying to like say that something is a UFO when it's clearly not, but then they're still saying, "Oh, it's a UFO," and they won't accept any kind of evidence that it's not. That's when I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people saying
that's someone's personal belief. Why are you? But then, okay, so then you're going to argue about why is this becoming a religion, a belief?
So like, say that you have a sighting, they're like, oh, it's a UFO, all this stuff, but then you can prove that it was a plane. But then they won't listen to you and say, no, it was a UFO, I had all this stuff. It's like, but we just proved it was a plane. You gave us date, time, and there's the plane. There it is.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that approach and intent has a lot to do with whether I have a problem with somebody.
I also just think it could be hard to accept sometimes. You know, I don't know. I just don't think we should be attacking the person that brings us anything. It should just be about what we're looking at, and that we're also taking it personal in a sense if we're upset that someone's showing us something and they don't agree with our counter evidence.
Right. Well, Bree, you bring up a good point. So that also falls on the people who are bringing this proof forward. If you record something and maybe it's not a UFO, maybe it's a plane, maybe it's a satellite, you have to be humble enough to go, yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. You have the information that I don't have, and yeah, it all fits. But people are so egotistical that they're just like, no, I filmed the UFO. Like, this is definite proof. Like, we have to be humble and critical at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, this conversation
I
has reminded
understand.
me of a quote by Terence McKenna, and I have it queued up.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
It's only going to get weirder.
Weirder?
And rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction. So I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And finally, it's going to be so
weird
that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods. Because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going
on here?
It's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts.
Yes. Yeah. But I agree with Panda. I think it's a waste of time to just worry about if someone accepts your evidence to say that it's not that. At the end of the day, it's not going to change anything for anybody. Right. So why don't we just move on and stay focused on what we believe in, opposed to what other people do? I'm just at this point in my life right now where this comes down to everything. I'm not into anything that is unnecessary. If you are giving so much time and energy to something that is unnecessary, why are you doing it?
Well, it's unnecessary from your point of view.
Yeah, I know.
To someone else's. So
you're absolutely true.
I think it's true. Everything is perspective and subjectivity, and nobody knows what the hell is going on. I think that's the key. I said this before. We're all trying to put together a freaking jigsaw puzzle without actually knowing what the picture is, how many puzzle pieces there are. Like it's.
And we never will get there. I'm sorry. I really don't think we'll ever get there. So for me, I think what ultimately we need to do is amend what has been cracked and broken, because I just don't see us getting any closer if we're constantly at war with the figureheads and the people that are out here talking. I just feel like do something worth of value.
Okay. But I feel like there's a sense of frustration with a lot of those people, going back to what we were saying earlier, because they won't answer our questions. So there is a growing sense of frustration that there's like this elitism going on, that you can only get an answer if you ask the right question, which is not what journalism is.
Or know the right people, or, you know. So one thing, I don't think this is, I don't agree. So I've talked to Mick West for over an hour and a half on my show, when I had a show. But
you do have a show.
I do have a show. It's this show, but
and Bobby's Crypto Corner.
Yes, but Mick West, he's like the boogeyman of ufology, because he's like, oh, it's a bird, it's whatever. I don't think we should immediately rule him out for any reason. I mean, yeah, people don't like him.
But again, people don't like him because he has evidence that is against what they believe. Because at the end of the day, you know what it is? We are cursed by that freaking slogan, X-Files, bless your heart. But the I want to believe slogan has turned into I only believe. And now we're at war with everyone's beliefs. And I think we just really need to step out of that. It's just chaotic. But that's why people don't like him, because whether or not he is actually showing us real evidence on something, that's the only reason why people don't like him, is because it's contradictory to what they believe.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's, I like Mick West. And there are times where he'll say things and I'll be like, oh, you bastard. I kind of want him to believe that was what it was.
Yeah, and it sucks. You're like, oh, are you kidding me? Trust me, it happens here all the time. But I will say, Mick, I mean, when he did butt stuff with us, which is, you know, the first gen of this show, there were maybe one or two that he could not come up with an answer, and he said UFO yes to.
Yeah.
And that, of course, the rest of the Twitter world doesn't know that because they don't like or watch us. But if they would have seen that Mick West did indeed say a UFO yes to some things. So he is more open-minded, I think, than some people give him credit for.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head there. He is not a skeptic for skeptic's sake. He's a skeptic to find the truth. He does not want UFOs to not be real. He just wants to separate the bullshit from the real stuff.
Exactly.
That is it.
I think that's all of us too. I think especially in this show, that's why, you know, there have been times where people have accused us of just being debunkers, but it just happens that maybe that day everything we saw we could explain. So, and yeah, it goes back to like, you just have to know all of us. You have to know all parts of someone when they look at UFO footage. But a lot of the time, like, it's not that we're debunkers. We're all believers. We're all pretty like woo in the topic too. It's just, we put the skepticism first because we don't want to just fall for the same pattern like we have, I think, most of our lives. And, you know, with more knowledge and being able to differentiate what you're looking at, it really helps. Yeah, ignorance is bliss. If you have no idea what a lens flare is, everything is a UFO. Everything you take a picture of is something anomalous. And, you know, it's like at the end of the day, when you realize it's not, you got to humbly come back down from that. But it doesn't mean that it's going to take away from the reality that it could possibly always be something extraterrestrial. The importance is weaving it out, finding the truth.
Look at the people who freaked out because Jupiter and Venus were near the moon and started posting a bunch of UFO videos because there were lights up in the sky. They were fucking planets. That's what they were. I implore everybody in the UFO community to download like a Stargazer app. There's several that are free. They use your GPS. You can stick your camera up in the sky and see what stars are up. So if you see lights in the sky at night, just open up your app, look at it, and go, "Oh shit, that's Venus. That's Jupiter." Like that literally happened like 2 weeks ago, and
I think that was just last week.
It might have been last week, yeah. And they were like, "Oh my god, look at these lights next to the moon."
Yeah, so I was on back here hanging out with Kari actually, and you guys know my family, like I mentioned earlier in this episode, we all think there's a portal above the house. Because my parents have seen so many UFOs, and obviously I've been an experiencer probably most of my life. So my dad sends me this picture while I'm on with Kari. Yeah, while I'm with Kari, sends me this one.
Yeah.
And then, so he sends me that, and then he's like seeing these two in the west, and I was like, are they planets? Are they moving? What's going on? And then he sent me this one.
They're right next to each other.
A wild one.
That was a wild. So I was like, what's going on? My dad just said, prepared to be boarded.
See, I was sold on it being a sighting until I saw
so then
friend of the show, Matthew Riot, he actually saw the same thing and was like, "Oh, it's Venus and Jupiter," and I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, so then right after
I took this
right after
my mom was the only one that had texted me, for the record, and this was that night. She said, for the record, those are stars. One is a planet, one is a star. They're not orbs. Sorry for their confusion.
I thought they're both.
So I was
planets.
like, don't ever text me like that again unless it's legit. and then she had sent me a video the next day on the news confirming that. But it was just funny because at first glance, you're like, whoa, especially if you're very familiar.
Illuminating the sky around it. I was like, that.
You're like, whoa, that's weird. Yeah, if you're familiar with your sky, which they are, my parents night watch all the time because they see so many UFOs. One of
mine did this.
Yeah, see, like you'd be like, that's not normally there. Like that's bright as hell.
That's what I saw. I was like, hold on, why are those two bright things over there? And I took a picture of it, and then I was like, let me pull up my star chart, and then pointed at them. Oh, they're fucking planets. Okay,
Tony, I feel like I'm like slightly dissociating because your camera's really blurred.
Oh, it is because I put my phone close to my camera. Yeah. Shut up.
There you go. So that was just, it's like we got to be open to things like that. And again, it is just so that when you find something that is undeniable, it's that much, to me, it makes it so much more special.
Right.
To be like, no, trust me, we've done the star charts, we've done the flight paths, we've done, all of those things. And then if you can cross off your checklist and come to something that is absolutely unidentifiable, it's so much more worth it, in my opinion. So anyway, that was actually a really good conversation today. I'm glad that we had a chance to do this.
I have a book recommendation for the week.
Ooh.
So I've been doing like selected readings from it, but I'm reading a book right now called Cyberloka, a Buddhist guide to digital life, which is about like ethical use of the internet. It's very, very interesting.
That. Nice. That's awesome.
With a Buddhist lens. And the guy who wrote it is actually a fellow in Oxford, so he's local to me.
Cool. Shit, that's dope.
So, if Enzo wants to do the honors, this book's actually pretty new. It only came out a couple of months ago.
I love the cover art.
I know, right?
That is awesome. That is so awesome.
Read.
I would like to just give a really, I commend our audience for the day. Everyone has just had really great points, really good observations. You guys are just so smart and lovely to read during the episode. I just want to thank you guys for being here and for contributing to the conversation, because you definitely did. Do we have anything else for the day?
I'm gonna finish watching the newest episode of Star Trek Picard because I have like 20 minutes left. I really want to watch it. But I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it was definitely needed. And I'm glad everybody was here to give their 2 cents in. And,
if the best thing you can do, 27 of you watching this show right now, if you like what we're doing, like the conversation, leave a comment and like and subscribe. Leaving a comment is the best thing you can do to like raise us up in the algorithmic God standings. So leave your 2 cents about what you think. What's ufology to you? What do you think about it? Leave a comment.
Hi, Gary.
Absolutely.
Hi, Gary. All right, you guys. We will see you Tuesday. Or if you're into a card reading, Jamie and Chad will be doing their Sunday morning card readings. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys again for being here. Because
see us at Contact in the Desert.
Oh, yeah. Do that.
Unless your name is Gobstopper, because I have a fucking bone to pick with you.
What?
I don't want that bombshell.
Okay, then. Bye-bye.
Gobstopper.